Hope you're having a wonderful day today at work and at play. And we're always so happy to have all of you at the Meditation Museum. How many of you have come here for the first time? Welcome. What took you so long? You didn't know we were here. Okay, we just thought you were doing unmeditative things. All right? So anyway, we've been here for about 6 years, and we have enjoyed the journey thus far. I think by next year we'll be relocating. So we are courageously seeking a venue that will be a little bit bigger, because as you know, we keep our attendances to a particular number that we can hold everyone comfortably. I have the temperatures okay. Yes? Okay. Vishal, could you turn up the volume just a tad bit? And what I'd like to do is basically set the tone for this evening. Vishal, turn up the tone just a little bit. Up? Yeah, up. Yeah. Thanks. Great, better. Because we're live streaming, I want to make sure everyone can hear. You know, we get those hate comments. Can't hear you. And I don't want to create sorrow for anybody. Why did you come out for today's session? Was it something on listening that touched you? Do you consider yourself to be a good listener? See, I'm going to tell Joy, you're not even supposed to be taking the test yet. Don't take the test. How do you know about the test if you're taking it already? Come on. You're at the Meditation Museum. I think the youths just say, chill out. Anyway, yeah, just put the paper down. We'd like to wish Kathy a happy birthday. Today's her birthday. She's now 60 years old. And she has the fortune of her mother that came in from South Carolina to spend some time with her mother, Kathy. Mama Judy's her name. So every time you approach a birthday, you remember how important it is to breathe and how important it is to actually live. And the question that I always ask myself is, how much value am I putting in my life and in my journey? Because it is so vital. I don't think we should get into the habit of wasting a breath. There's something connected to every thought and every breath that we take. And if it's done with mindfulness and a sense of attention and awareness, then you feel like the sense of value accumulating inside of you, and it will start to make you move in a particular way where things just start to connect at a much more important level than you're accustomed to. Much more important level. So today we have a very special guest, and her name is Joy Baldridge. And Joy is a humorist, a motivational speaker. She offers training courses to major corporations in the U.S. and around the world where she goes in and really finds ways to assist productivity and effectivity in the corporate place. Yeah. And we had a chit-chat on the air a few weeks ago, I think, and we were just talking to each other. And I said, when you come to Washington, please can you just stop by the museum and maybe we could have dinner one night, chit-chat. You can conduct one of your award-winning sessions. And she said, by the way, I'm going to be in town in another 2 weeks or so, and I'll be in a session. So I'm thinking, okay then, she's in town, I'll have a whole day for her. And Joyce sends us her program, and she's booked up until 4:30. And I went, really? And when are you departing tomorrow? No, the same night. So we squeezed in today. So I really want to thank Joy for that, right? Give her a big hand before we can get her up. So just imagine, she finished her major workshop, and at 4:30 she's out the door and she's here, and by the time it's 6:30 we have to whisk her away to Ronald Reagan to get the 7 o'clock boarding thing. So talk about motivated. So are you using your time in a worthwhile way? Exactly. She's going back to Connecticut, Nashville. And so what it's all about is Joy's going to help us to develop abilities to function a whole lot better. And I believe it's more personal. I think it's really for ourselves, but definitely when you're fixed, you bring that to the public. And so I believe in this consciousness that when I rise, you're going to rise around me. And one of the most challenging things is to be around somebody who doesn't want to rise with you. And you're like, but I got to rise. And then you're like, come on up with me. It's going to be painful, but come. And then they're like, no, that's not where I'm going right now. But there's still hope, because I believe that if your rise has so much force in it, they can't decline, or they can't go behind, like they can't leave you alone. They have to rise up. Similarly to, if the heat is hot, you're going to get, if it's hot, it's hot. You're going to get hot, right? So you either have to leave or stay in it and adjust to the temperature. So I feel that if many of us in this space develop the abilities to really rise in awareness and consciousness, just imagine what your contribution could be to the people that are around you. It's not that folks will respond to your initial rise in front of you, but they might respond to your rise when they leave you. Like when they're out on their own, then they start to realize how much they took from watching you. And sometimes that's the way that folks learn, because then they have a sense of ownership. Now it's mine. You know? And so all of us have different ways in which we learn about ourselves and how we learn the game in life. I learn very differently. When it's tough, I put my best on. When it's too sweet, I get slack. I was in Kauai a few months ago, and Kauai is like paradise. Anyone been to Hawaii? Don't go there. You will end up a bump. I am convinced. So they were asking me to stay there for a while, and I was just, I need a challenge. I can't stay in paradise. It's not meant for me. And so some of us don't do that well when everything is functioning just perfect. But we complain a lot that we want it to be perfect. But there's something in the challenge that builds something in you, where there's something within you that is getting to a state of perfection, or at least optimized value. So I'd like to thank all of you for coming out today, and I know you're going to enjoy today's session, and we actually have Joy for an extra 15 minutes, so that is even sweet, so I'm just going to be all quiet. But we have a video to play. If you got Joy's video, that we could just play the listening video. Right before I get her on, I came across the cutest little YouTube video on listening, the little boy. Did you see that? It's the cutest little thing. And why this workshop is so important, that I think that after we're done with this, we're going to be able to learn a little bit more on how to listen. Have you seen this? Volume?
Transition.
That's the iPod. You need the computer. I mean the computer sound. No.
Okay, but I have to yell at you guys. Okay, what?
Everything they do at this house, they can touch everything at Grandma's house.
Okay,
Okay, then what?
then you're not listening to me.
Then you're not listening to me.
I asked you not to do something.
Listen to me. Okay. If you do something, if you get that out, that bird thing out, they're gonna break it.
Okay, but I'm letting you know that you cannot, no, you're not listening to me. Listen to me now. Listen to me now. No, you're not listening. I said no cupcakes. and you try to get cupcakes and you try to ask grandma. Didn't you? What's gonna burn your butt? You and Kevin don't listen, so I have to give both of you guys pop piles in your butt. No, he's not. I have to. You don't want me to hit Kevin, or you don't want me to spank you? Why? Then I have to spank Kevin. He's doing little pop-ups, but he doesn't listen. I'm not breaking anything down. I'm just letting you know you cannot have cupcakes for dinner.
That's his mother, you know.
I'm done arguing with you. You need to listen to the things that I say because I'm the mom and I'm the dog. I'm done arguing with you.
So I'd like to proudly welcome Joy Baldridge to teach us how to listen. I do. Can you hear the mic on? Is the volume okay? We're going to get it together. Okay, well yes, I'm Joy Baldridge and I'm here to bring a little more joy to your world. And one way to have that is to be a better listener. And listening is a skill, it's a gift that you give yourself and you give others. I've studied under the Listening Institute and I've learned a lot of different methods to help you to be better at listening. The first of which has to do with meditation, so it's appropriate that we're at the Meditation Museum. In order to listen effectively, you have to be in the present tense. Very rarely are we ever in the present tense because we're so busy thinking about the future or going to the past. And so by doing a technique that I call the 4-4-6, it will help you to stay present, and when you're present, you can listen better. So let's give it a try. The 4-4-6 is where you inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, and exhale to 6. Let's go. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And repeat. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it, 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another way to help you to be a better listener is to relax. You've all come from a day. I don't know what your day was like, but some days are more stressful than others. And what I find is first you get stressed out, then you get burnt out, then you get sick, then you run out of sick days. So a bumper sticker, it said, I feel so much, the bumper sticker said, I ran out of sick days tomorrow, I'm calling in dead. You can't do that. You have to have hope, you have to keep going. So there is a technique to help you, and I call it the purple break. So to be a better listener, you also have to be relaxed and not think about your agenda and all the chatter in your head. And since you've all come from some form of work or a crazy day or a busy day or rush to get here because we had to do this earlier than usual, I'm going to give you an opportunity to take a purple break. My father was in a sleep study in the 1960s, and he learned that you have a pigment in your eye called rhodopsin. It's broken down in bright light like fluorescent light and sunlight, and it's restored in total darkness. But we're never in a totally dark environment. If you look where you sleep, you'll see light sources everywhere. You'll see a cable box. There's the light. You see, did we time that right? You will see your clock, alarm clock in your face, and all of that takes away from your energy and your ability to be focused, centered, and present. So I'm going to give you a gift now, and I call this the purple break, where you're going to rejuvenate the rhodopsin in your eye. And this is how you do it. First, you need to close your eyes, and I'll do it too. and notice it's not dark, you just can't see. Then take your palms and cover your eyes with the palms of your hands and relax, enjoy the darkness. It should be totally dark. And now you just want to relax. And we're going to go backwards in the count from 15 to 1 on each exhaled breath. And this will help you to be more awake, alert, and conscious to help you be a better listener. So here we go. That's 15. Exhale and relax. 14. Exhale. 13. Relax. 12. Exhale. 11. Exhale. 10. Relax. 9. Relax your jaw, relax your shoulders. 8. Exhale. 7. Exhale. 6. Exhale. Peace. 5. Relax. 4. Relax. 3. 2. 1. Now do not open your eyes, but remove your hands. And then notice there's this beacon in front of you. It's so bright. And then slowly open your eyes. And what a purple break does is it just cuts the tension. It reduces the stress. It brings the peace. And yet you can't do a purple break as easily as the 4-4-6. Because the 4-4-6, you can inhale, hold it, exhale, and be present. And breathing is your most easily accessible, yet your most underutilized stress reducer. But when you're deep breathing, you are present, and you can take in messages that people send you when you're communicating, and you can listen more intently. Think about when you've had to listen intently, that somebody had a serious problem and you were there for them. Think of what happened to your body and your mind. You were probably exhausted when you were done, because listening is a skill and it requires a lot of energy, and it requires you to be in the present. So breathing the 4-4-6 is a good way to be a good listener. But before you interact with people, maybe you can sneak away, because you can't say, I'm listening, and cover your eyes, because that's a big part of the nonverbal communication. So instead, before you meet up with somebody, after work, find a conference room, a restroom, or in your home, a private room where you can just take a moment, take a breath, decompress. The reason why we call this a purple break is because rhodopsin is also known as visual purple. Visual purple and rhodopsin are the same pigment in the eye that breaks down in bright light like fluorescent light and sunlight and is restored in total darkness. But since you're never in a totally dark environment, if you have an eye shield, if you take the palms of your hands and cover your eyes, it will help you to get in the right state of mind to be a good listener. Now, when you're in a situation where you just have to listen, you can't take a purple break, but you can do the 4-4-6. You can also do a technique that I call the toe press to help you get ready for listening. And with the toe press, all you do is you press your toes down really hard into the ground, and you tighten your calf muscles, and then you release. And say they're talking about something that's very intense, or they're upset about something, and you want to help them. You being upset won't help, so just press those toes into the ground. It grounds you. Feel it. Press your toes, and then release. And then press the toes again, and again. It grounds you, it centers you. Because a lot of people don't realize that you have to be prepared to be a good listener. And if you're a really good listener, you can count on one hand the number of great listeners there are in your entire lifetime that you will meet. Think about it. Who do you know that is an amazing listener? Is it one person? 2 people? 3? After 3, it becomes a little bit tricky to find out who that great listener is. Sometimes it's a best friend or a parent or somebody who really cares about you or a spouse. And so you want to realize that listening really is a gift that you give yourself and you give to others. So now that we've done some preparation for the listening process, what I'm going to have you do is take a listening quiz. And in the listening quiz, it has 15 questions to see what kind of listener you are. Could you please hand me the Thank you. That's perfect. That's great. Now, what you have is a definition of what listening is, and it's receiving a message sent and understanding the meaning of the content as well as the intent. It's also sensing, interpreting, evaluating, and responding. The word listen comes from two Anglo-Saxon words, meaning to hear and to wait in suspense. Can you imagine every time you listen to somebody, you're like, and then what happened? Really? Oh my goodness. Wow. Really? Tell me more. And you're so excited and intense about that. Also, to actively attend to the message the sender requires high energy, genuine interest, positive body language, and it actually can be exhausting. That's why you need to have purple breaks for 6-toe press. Be ready for it. And then 5 is listening is a gift that you give yourself and others. And people hold people who listen well in the highest area of integrity. Because if you're a really good listener, people know it, and they admire and appreciate you so much. And even though it's a skill, you can learn a skill. Skill like tennis, skill like golf, skill like playing the piano. It's not hard to learn it, you just have to want to, and I'm going to share with you how. So turn to the listening quiz. I'll read these questions since we're videotaping, and you can answer them yes or no. Some people want to put maybe or sometimes. The Listening Institute does not like that. They say yes or no, but if you really need a maybe or a sometime, you can put an M or an S in the column there and circle that, and no, that's only half a point. Okay? So the first question, do you talk more than you listen? Yes or no? Number 2, do slow speakers cause your mind to wander?
Do you mean someone who has a disability or?
No, just do you talk slow speaking? No, just someone who tends to be a slower speaker. Their pace, not a disability. But thanks for asking. And number 3, does nervousness or fear sometimes prevent you from concentrating on a speaker's message? Yes or no? Number 4, when you are puzzled, annoyed, or confused, are you hesitant about asking questions? Yes or no? Number 5, do you judge or criticize while someone is speaking? You may not do it verbally, but you may do it in your mind. Are you into judge and criticize and snap judgments? Yes or no? Number 6, do you frequently find yourself thinking ahead about something you want to say, even though the other person is still talking? Yes or no? Number 7, when a problem comes up, do you often react without getting all the facts, perhaps by interrupting? Yes or no? Number 8, do distractions such as external noises or internal thoughts prevent you from listening carefully? Yes or no? 9, do you ever pretend you're listening when you're really not? Yes or no? A lot of honest people are shaking their heads right now. Number 10, are you quick to give advice or offer a strong opinion? Yes or no? Number 11, do you believe that it is the speaker's responsibility to communicate effectively as opposed to the listener's responsibility? Yes or no? 12, do you often think that you have heard someone's name or an important fact only to discover that you have forgotten it? Yes or no? 13, do you think listening involves only the ears and hearing? Yes or no? 14, do you think only about yourself and ignore the other person's feelings when you talk? Yes or no? And 15, do you think you were born with the ability to listen? Yes or no? In order to score this test, all you have to do is count the number of answered yes questions. If you answered yes to any of these questions, your listening skills can be improved. If you answered yes to more than 5, you need to increase your ability to listen. How'd you do? Pat on the back? Some people do well. How many of you got 5 or fewer yeses? Raise your hand. Very nice. Excellent. Who got between 6 and 7 yeses? Not bad. That's pretty good, actually. Who got between 8 and 10 yeses? Who got between 11 and 12 yeses? Who got 13 or more and doesn't want to raise their hand? You don't have to. We know who you are. So my whole I'm a sales strategist, I'm an expert in professional development, and I was born into a family of educators. My parents founded the Baldridge Reading and Study Skills Program. I've taught at over 30 universities all over the country and over 200 corporations. And I help people improve where they are. I always come with the premise, you're the best. Unless you prove me wrong, I say you are the best. And all I want to do is help the best become better. There's not a lot to do with that. It doesn't take a lot to make the best better. It's just a little change. A minor change can have a major impact. So my hope for you tonight is that you will walk away with a couple of golden nuggets, useful ideas on how you can be a better listener, which will make you a better friend, which will make you a better coworker, and a better family member. And that's really what I'm after here this evening. And just to give you a little bit of background, I'm so happy to be in Washington, D.C. because my first speaking engagement was in Washington, D.C. and I spoke at the White House. I was 19 years old, and my mother told me I had to come home from college for spring break, and I was not happy. I mean, do you want to come home for spring break? I wanted to go to Fort Lauderdale or somewhere in Florida and be warm. And my mother said, no, you must come home. And I said, why? And she said, because you have to learn the business. You have to learn how to be an entrepreneur. And she said, you must learn how to sell. I said, why do I need to learn how to sell? And she said, because without sales, you have nothing. You really need to know how to make an income for yourself. You're going to learn how to sell. You pick up that phone. You call people who need you. I said, who needs us? She said, the president. I said, how do you know? We had a small business in Greenwich, Connecticut. And she said, look. She opens the New York Times. She points to a direct quote. Jimmy Carter said, I wish I could read faster like John F. Kennedy. My mother wholeheartedly believes this is a hot lead. She said, call him, he needs us. I thought she lost her mind. Can you imagine if your mother said, call the president, he needs us? What would you think? Call the paramedics, that's who I would be calling. So I said, do you have his number? She said, yes, it's public. And so I said, great, I'll take it. So she gives me the number. I call the president. He wasn't there. But somebody answered and they said, send information. And most people get discouraged. But I didn't get discouraged. I said, great, if that'll get me off the phone and back to college, I'll do whatever you want. So I sent information. And then I left back to college. 6 months later, we get a call. It's from the White House. It'd be nice if we knew that. Do you expect the White House to call you when you call them? We didn't. So my mother's assistant, being a little hard of hearing, she said, Lila, you have a call on line 2. And she said, well, who is it? She said, I think it's the Lighthouse for the Blind. Don't you support the Lighthouse? My mother said, yes, we do. We love the Lighthouse. I'm just a little busy. So she said, could you take a message? Tell them I'm a little busy, but I do support them. So that's what we told the White House. We're a little busy, but we support you. They were a little surprised. Maybe they thought we weren't listening. So they said, excuse me, we're the White House. Do you know the one that's located in Washington, D.C.? We said, uh-huh. They said, well, we're that one. Oh, we'll take the call. So we took the call. And the Baldridges went to Washington. At 19, by cold calling President Jimmy Carter, I got to go to Washington. Never met Jimmy Carter or his family. I ended up teaching in the Indian Treaty Room on the White House grounds. The White House staff had to read his mail faster. How many letters do you think he got a week from the American people? 40,000. We were speed reading experts. We exceeded the goal because that's what we did. We also listened to the opportunity, and we didn't judge what had happened. Of course we wanted to meet the president. Of course we wanted to help his family read faster. It was Jimmy Carter who wanted to read faster, not the White House staff. But we found that if we listen to what people want, if we honor what they ask for, we end up in amazing places. So I just see so many benefits to being a good listener. And I know from that experience that someone somewhere is looking for exactly what you have to offer. All you have to do is listen for it. Whether you listen to your internal voice or whether you listen to other people, or you just pass someone on the street and you hear someone make a remark, just by listening to what people say as they talk to me, whether I meet them at an airport or I meet them at a playground with my children, it's incredible where that has taken me. So listening is a gift. It's a gift you give yourself because it can open up endless opportunities. Have you ever been at the right place at the right time and someone said something and you heard it, and next thing you knew, you were somewhere you didn't expect to be? And it was a really incredible place. That can happen at any moment, at any time. And that's why I'm even here, because all of a sudden I listen to Antonio. Antonio calls me, and even though I learned meditation, I was 13. We burned incense and flowers in the village in New York City back in the 60s. My parents wanted me to be enlightened. We became Quakers so we could meditate every week. And then over the years, I kind of got away from it. I still love it. I still nurture it. But I don't find I give myself the time for it as much as I could. So Antonio calls me. I saw you on the internet. I'd love to have you on the radio. Sister Jenna is very interested in interviewing you. We're at the Meditation Museum in Washington, D.C. I said, are you sure you have the right person? I don't meditate. And she said, oh, yes, we like self-improvement too. So this is good. I can do that. I heard that one. Opportunity is knocking now. So she heard me. I was saying no. I didn't know no one says no to Sister Jenna. A very persuasive woman. And so that's why I'm here. So I share with you that prelude because it is my introduction, but it's also about opportunities through listening. I can't even stress enough how beautiful it is to be able to listen to what people are saying and make connections and ask questions and align. And so the listening quiz, whether you got under 5 or over 5, there's always room for improvement. I love the listening quiz because it puts a mirror in front of everyone who takes it, and they say, wow, I thought I was a really good listener. I didn't realize that listening involves more than just hearing. I didn't realize that some people are not born with the ability to listen. Nobody is. You don't have the cognitive mental skill sets for that, but you do have the ability to hear, and they test for that in the hospital. Pop behind the baby, reflexes, you can hear. And then you learn listening much later on. If you didn't know the answer to that, don't worry. That means that your score is even better, because it depends on what you circled yes to as to where you're going to improve. So all I ask that you do is pick one yes that you want to turn into a no. Can you do that? Because you can't boil the ocean, why try? But you can take a pot, put water in that, and boil that. To change every yes to a no is not very realistic, but to take one and change it is. So here's what I decided to do. I decided to change one from a yes to a no. I was interrupting people. You ever done that? Interrupt people. They're talking and all of a sudden you blurt something out. Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt. You just did. Okay, that's okay. And I also learned not to be too hard on myself. So I was reading in Fortune magazine that they have an article about being flexible and adaptable. And it actually said in 1999 in Fortune magazine that the 2 characteristics you need to have a job, to save a marriage, to be successful in this millennium were flexibility and adaptability. Flexibility and adaptability. So when I wasn't being the best of listeners, instead of being hard on myself, I would say, it's okay, because I'm flexible and adaptable. I can do this. So sometimes we try to listen, we fail at listening, and then we say, I'm just a bad listener. Well, what good does that do you? What good does that do anybody? Your friends, your family, your coworkers, anybody who could really use you to be the good listener. Because you can count on one hand the number of good listeners that you will ever meet in your lifetime. Why don't you decide tonight to be that one? That one digit on the hand. That's what I've decided. It's been a real long journey to get there. It's not easy, but it's possible. And it's possible because I'm flexible and adaptable. I decided to make a dance. You put your hands like this, and you say, it's okay, because I'm flexible and adaptable. Let's see if you can do that, but don't hit the person next to you. This is a peaceful place. So put your hands up and you say, it's okay, because I'm flexible and adaptable. Oh, yeah. And maybe the person you're talking to isn't listening to you. Your children ever listen to you? Your husband ever listen to you? Your wife ever listen to you? Your significant other ever listen to you? The dog listens to me. Lucky, he's so cute. But not everybody does, and it's okay. Why? Because you're flexible and adaptable. So I didn't realize what a movement I started with all of this. I'm here to start the Joy movement. What better place? My name happens to be Joy by birth, and I want to bring more joy to your world. And I started talking about being flexible and adaptable, and then I thought I need an acronym because that will make people remember it. So the acronym for flexible and adaptable was not good because if you say it fast, think about it. Flexible and adaptable, F and A. And I thought, uh-oh, that's not good. Say it a few times in your mind and you'll know it's not good. So I thought, well, I have to do something about that. So my father taught me something very useful about flexibility and adaptability I'll share with you. And he said that you can bring a horse to water, but you can't what? Make it drink. He said, you know what you can do? I said, what can you do? There's no can do to that. He said, you can salt the hay. Salt the hay, find a way. And because he'll get thirsty and drink, correct? And so, salt the hay, find the way is a family motto. Salt the hay, find the way. Please don't ever again tell yourself, if you ever have, that you're a terrible listener. Please do not listen to the people who say you are. You can listen to them, you can smile and say, that poor dear doesn't realize who they're talking to. Do you know who you're talking to? I am someone who is going to be a very good listener, or already decided I am, and that is going to be your life's work because it's now mine. It really makes a huge impact on everything you do, the dignity, the respect, the honor. It's just incredible. I'm still not the best possible listener. I'm sure on the listening quiz, I don't even know if I'm going to get under 5 yeses correct scored, but I do know one of the scores that I'm going to get a yes on is not interrupting people. I have a psychology degree. I have been studying behavior modification. You know how hard it is to change a habit? Have you tried? Have you tried to quit smoking or quit eating junk food or go vegan or whatever you tried to change? You must replace an old habit with a new habit. You can't just stay with the old habit, and you can't cut cold turkey very easily. It's done, but it's painful. So I'm here to share with you ways that if you find interruption is difficult, that you interrupt people, because it's very common, there are 4 ways to stop. And you replace the old habit, interrupting, with the new habit of using one of my 4 ways. Here they are. Way number 1 is to bite your tongue. Do it gently so no one gets hurt. I learned how to bite my tongue because someone told me you can tell the sign of a good marriage by the number of bite marks on the tongue of the people in the marriage. You ever say something you regretted? If you bit your tongue, you would not have done that. I took it literally. I decided I was going to literally bite my tongue gently so no one gets hurt. So I could not bite my tongue to the left. It looked peculiar. I couldn't go straight. It looked peculiar. I go 2 o'clock. Oh, wait a minute. I'm salting the hay. I'm finding a way. Here I go. You ready? Here it goes. Can you tell? I'm doing it. All right. Now, you may or may not be able to do this. Let's see if you can gently, comfortably find a spot where you can bite your tongue and not look peculiar. And then see if anybody can tell. So turn to the person next to you and see if they can tell if you look peculiar. If you smile and do it, it's really good. So I brought different buttons with me. We made buttons to remind you. And I have a few that I can give out afterwards, but one of the buttons says, bite your tongue. And you can wear it, or you can put it on your desk at work, or you can just wear, put it in on the visor of your car, bite your tongue, just as a reminder. I have a button that says AFA all the way. And I'll just throw it out there. You can catch it. Who wants the button? There you go.
You would write it her first.
Write it first. This one says you're amazing. You're amazing for listening. Who wants to be amazing? You do. I got more. See me after. I got more. Who's going to do the 4-4-6? Inhale, hold it, exhale. There you go. Okay.
Hey, can I go on?
Back in the back. The other four. Oh, over here. Right here. Interference causes forgetting. Okay, so here's a tip. It's if you really want to listen well, you just say really. That's all you gotta say. So if they say, I had the worst day, what do you say? Really? They say, yes, you won't believe what happened. It was a terrible day. And you say, really? My boss was so mad. What do you say? Really? My husband yelled at me and you say, really? That's all you gotta do. You too.
No, he got it! Can I get one?
Grab that. Okay. Now, if you ever feel lonely and you really want someone to talk to you and you don't know those good listeners, you can have Bob. This is Bob. His name is Bob, but he spells it backwards. And that's so you remember. Sometimes he sticks to the ceiling. But I don't think he did. He sticks to the paper. Thank you. We'll try again. Oh! Hold on. I didn't do a test drive, so I don't think he sticks to the ceiling, but you watch. He sticks to ceilings all over the place. You see, he is the role model for flexible and adaptable. So show me your Bob. He's flexible and adaptable. So stretch him out. He's a little stiff. Flexible and adaptable. There's your Bob, and I have extra Bobs. If you didn't get your Bobs, it's okay, because you're what? Flexible and adaptable. I have extra, don't you worry. AFA stands for what? Always, flexible, and adaptable. See, we had to adapt the original acronym because it was FNA, and now we have it AFA all the way, and that's what it stands for. Thanks for asking. One extra Bob? There you go. So, in order, as we're saying, to listen effectively, you need to decompress and be ready physically to listen effectively. So if you 4-4-6, walking down the street, 4-4-6 like a ninja, driving in traffic, 4-4-6, you can do it everywhere. No one knows you're even doing it. While you're cooking dinner, inhale, hold it, exhale, 4-4-6, 4-4-6. Just keep doing the 4-4-6. Breathing is your most easily accessible yet most underutilized stress reducer. You can all do it because it sustains life, but you don't realize that in order to really be good at the deep breathing, you need to inhale, hold it, exhale. Always the exhale longer than the inhale. Forces you into the present tense, and now is perfect. Test it anytime. Now is perfect. So please keep that in mind. And even when I was home with my mom and I was telling her about my now is perfect concept that I had heard and loved, and she said, yeah, it is perfect. And then my son hits my daughter. And my daughter says, he hit me. And my son says, no, I didn't. I said, I saw you hit her. Well, she hit me first. And I said to my mom, now is perfect. Test it anytime. So no matter what, all you've got is now. And we tend to be so far in the future and so immersed in the past. What did I say? How did I say it? What did I do wrong? And we beat ourselves up so much. So now you know, from now on, all you have to say is it's okay, because you are flexible and adaptable. And after I taught that on the college campuses recently, I met with one of the students and she said, I had the best day. I said, what made your day so good? She said, it was out of control, crazy. But there was a meeting and then they wanted another meeting and then someone else pulled me into another meeting and I just kept saying, it's okay because I'm flexible and adaptable all day long. It's okay because I'm flexible and adaptable. And she said it just got her through the day in a very positive way. And she salted the hay, right? She found a way. So these ideas, they rhyme. They're meant to rhyme. It's easier to remember that way. You know, do you need a purple break? Maybe you do. Maybe you need to get an eye shield. I have eye shields and they say purple break in progress. Purple break in progress. And it just means you need to relax, decompress. When you go home tonight, look where that alarm clock is, turn it around, put something over it, get that cable box with that glowing light and put something over that. Or get a nice shield on your way home so that you can rejuvenate and be more in tune for all the mental and physical capacity you need to have to be a good listener, a good friend, a good coworker, a good spouse, a good partner. So one way that you can not interrupt people is by biting your tongue. Second technique is called drink heavily. What I mean by that, have you done it? Are you okay? Yeah, okay, all the way. So what I mean by drink heavily is that I find that if I talk, I can't listen. Nobody can. So I have water with me everywhere I go. And when somebody starts talking, I just take a sip. And then I listen to what they say, and then I answer, and then I ask them a question, I take a sip. Really, tell me more. Take a sip. What does the button say? Take a sip. Who needs it? There you go. So, take a sip. I didn't want to write buttons that said drink heavily because I just didn't think that was a good message. So I was salting the hay, thinking, what can I say? And actually, if you go on YouTube and you go to Joy Baldridge and you go to listening, I've got about 20 videos on YouTube. You'll see the one on effective listening, and it's a lot of fun. It pretty much reiterates what I'm saying, so when you need reinforcement, go to YouTube and you'll see that. And so step number one for being a good listener is you have to be ready to listen. It means you have to be physically and mentally ready, and you can do it in an instant. As soon as you can say inhale, hold it, exhale, do it 2 or 3 times, you're already there. If you have a luxury of a few more minutes and you're in a safe place, you can cover your eyes, relax, and breathe. I highly recommend doing purple breaks before you drive home, especially if you have a long journey and you're very tired at certain times of the night. Because I remember once driving and I couldn't remember how long my last blink was. Has that ever happened to you? I was so exhausted. And then I actually fell asleep on I-95 in Connecticut driving. I was so close to home, so close. My father always said that the closer you are, the more you let your guard down. And so I was so close to home, I let my guard down. I had driven already 2 hours. I was only 10 minutes from home, and I let my guard down. And I was very fortunate. The only other person on the road at 2 in the morning was a big truck, 18-wheeler. And he saw my car moving all over the highway, and he blasted his horn. At first I thought it was a dream, and then I realized it was real, and then I opened my eyes, and it might have only been for 3, 4, 5 seconds of time, but he saved my life. And I realized that you really need to be careful. And how easy is it to take a moment, again, someplace safe, and cover your eyes, relax, and breathe, but it doesn't give good body language if you're like this at home. And if you're like this at work. And one time I was so tired, I pulled over on the parkway near where I live, and I didn't want to chance that last couple of miles. I was just so exhausted. And a police officer pulled over behind me and knocked on my window. And I said, yes, officer, and he said, is everything okay? I said, everything's fine, I'm just taking a purple break. Well, I didn't realize there were illegal substances with the word purple in it in the car. And he said, and I have a line for you to walk. And I said, wait a minute, officer, what do you mean? And he said, oh, you can get out of the car. I said, are you ever tired, officer? He said, yeah, I'm tired right now. I said, well, you have a pigment in your eye. It's called rhodopsin. If you break, it breaks down in bright light. It's restored in total darkness. And all of a sudden, he started viewing me as an expert instead of an exhausted person. And it was okay. And it was also okay because I was flexible and adaptable. So I'm giving you some gifts tonight when it comes to effective listening. You need to prepare to listen. What are some ways you prepare to listen? You can take a purple break. You can do the 4-4-6. You can do the toe press. Press the toes down. Focus, get grounded. Very good techniques to utilize. And if you're dying to speak, you can do something I call jot a thought. And that's another way not to interrupt people. Just jot a thought. If you have a notebook or a piece of paper, just in the margin to the right, you just jot your thought down. And then when they're done speaking, you can look down and say, oh, I've been meaning to ask you. As opposed to, I don't mean to interrupt, but... You're going to change everything just by doing that. So that's how it's done. You jot a thought. And when you jot the thought, then you can review, because your mind, as the listening quiz indicated, gets absorbed with all these internal thoughts and distractions. And so that even if you have to pick up your dry cleaning before they close, just put a little DC in the margin, and now it's done. It won't keep coming up. It's down, it's tangible, it's in writing. So you don't have to keep worrying about that. So inhale, hold it, exhale. These are some ways you can do other things to not interrupt people. You can what? By your tongue, you can. That's right. Of water. And so these are some ways. I also have some relaxation techniques that help with listening. And one of them is the ogive curve. And I've given you a panel, and the panel has a picture of me with my head in the tiger's mouth. And it says, whatever it takes. You can do anything, whatever it takes. And then there it talks about your WAPs. One thing that prevents people from listening effectively is their WAPs. I call them WAPs, worry, anxiety, and fear. Worry, anxiety, and fear. And it's such a shame, because 95% of the things that we worry about never even happen. That's according to WAP, W-A-F, and it's on your card. WAPs. You got to say goodbye to your WAPs. W-A-F, WAP. Worry, anxiety, and fear. 90% of what you worry about never happens. Psychology Today has said that. And anxiety is the horrible stories we tell ourselves that are rarely, if ever, true. So stop that. Stop telling yourself terrible stories. And fear, I love what Zig Ziglar said about fear. He said, fear can be one of two things. It's an acronym. Fear can be fear everything and run, or face everything and rise. Right? Fear everything and run, or face everything and rise. I picked the latter. So I bought a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I never read the book. I got so much out of the title I didn't need to. Feel the fear, doing it anyway. It's all good. Can I have the card, please?
You see the last one.
Yes. Face everything and rise. And feel the fear and do it anyway. You got that? Yeah. What else did I say?
Fear everything and run.
Fear everything and rise. Face everything and run. Face everything and run. Got fear everything and run? Get it right. Are you listening? I said it wrong, but that's okay because I'm flexible and adaptable. You're going to have so much fun making mistakes now. I swear to God. Because it's okay.
Nothing to fear itself.
Yes, I heard a president said that. It wasn't Carter, though. You know, nothing to fear but fear itself. Roosevelt. And it's true.
And so did Eleanor.
And so did Eleanor, really. She probably wrote it.
She said it first.
Yeah. We all know Eleanor said a lot of stuff first. So if we follow the card, it says, wave goodbye to worry, anxiety, and fear. So raise your right hand and say, goodbye, worry. Goodbye, worry. Goodbye, anxiety. Goodbye, anxiety. So long, fear. So long, fear. Hello, joy. Hello, joy. Great. That's awesome. Tell the person next to you that you did a very good job with that. Very good job. So you also need to maintain the campaign. And you have to decide what your campaign is. You have a mission. If your mission was to come here and to be a better listener, then you need to maintain that campaign. You don't have to do everything that I'm sharing with you. Just pick one thing, two things, three things. That's plenty. You don't need to do everything. It's overwhelming. You can't possibly do it all. I've seen people trying to breathe and purple break and toe press and right in the margin, and it's so don't do that. Someday find a way, not 10 ways. It defeats the purpose. And so then number 3 is let go, move on, woohoo. Let go. There's a great song now from the movie Frozen. Yeah. And then I love Taylor Swift. shake it, shake it, shake it. You know that song? I'm not saying it right. Shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. Come on, say it with me. Shake it up, shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. And she's talking about players and haters and all these people, you know, shake it up, shake it up. I mean, you know. It's such a good song. I think it's just ahead of her time. There are going to be psychological studies about that song. Because it's true. You know what she's doing? She's acknowledging. And when you acknowledge, you release. It's auto-release. You acknowledge, it's auto-release. If you ignore, it grows bigger and bigger and bigger. That's why the kid in the video was screaming. Because you want a cupcake? I want a cupcake! You really want a cupcake? I want a cupcake! Did anybody get that poor child a cupcake? No! So he gets louder and louder and louder. Ignore and it grows. Acknowledge, auto-release. It's also something I call detect and deflect. Because sometimes I might be in a bad mood and I wonder what happened. Why am I in a bad mood? And usually I caught some virus from some other person in a bad mood. One lady, I was driving to the train station and she yells out the window, "Watch it, lady!" I'm like, "Watch it, lady? Do you know who I am?" You turn to the person next to you and say, "Do you know who you are?" Go ahead. You are. My friend Sue Cronin said that to me when I was at a very low moment in my life, in my day, and I said, "I don't know, I don't think it's going to work out, and I want to meet with these people, and I won't return my phone call." And she said, "Do you know who you are?" I mean, we forget who we are just because things aren't going exactly how we want them to go. Well, maybe there are other plans meant for you, right? Other plans meant for you. I was in a van. I was exhausted. I just wanted to sink down in that van and rest. The guy was nice, Peter. I said, "Peter, please don't leave without me. Please don't leave without me. I just have to grab my suitcase and check out." The van fills with all these people. Peter's waiting for me. They want to leave. He promised me, he said, "I promised Miss Baldridge that I wouldn't leave without her. She won't be long." Grumble, grumble, grumble. I get in the van, I see a hostile crowd. I just sneak in the front seat, and I'm like, thank goodness, here I am, it's all good. And then I start to hear people talking. They're talking about reading, they're talking about selling, and I said to myself, I'm a sales expert from a family who created a reading program. I have to listen to this. I don't want to eavesdrop. I don't want to be rude, but they need me. They need me. I'm too tired to deal with this. I don't want to sell. I don't want this to happen at this moment in time. I just want to relax and hang out with Peter. And then I said to myself, Joy, you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you did not at least say something. So I'm in the van and I'm sitting in the front and they're all in the back like would be right where you're sitting, and I took a card out and I went to the man in the corner and I said, "Here's my card. I hope you don't mind. I happen to hear you talk about reading and sales, and I'm a sales expert and a reading specialist. If I can be of service, please do what you would like." And then I turned back. The whole van was filled with the same people from the same company. So I see this hand with my peripheral vision go back, back, back. And I thought, I did what I needed to do. Now I can relax. And a hand goes forward, forward, forward. And they give me this card. And then they all ran to their flights. And I look at the card, and it was the Vice President of Sales at Scholastic Book Fairs. And they were talking about how important it was to get books in the hands of children. And the president of the company was sitting behind me, and that's who I handed the card to. The VP of Sales is now the president of the company, and he and I were speaking, and he said, "I'm so glad that you handed your card. That was our president, and we were not happy with you because you were going to make us late for our flight." And I said, "I'm sorry." And then I realized that this was a tremendous opportunity, and it didn't happen instantly overnight, but after several months, we were able to work together. And I asked the man, Alan, I said, what is your mission? What is your goal working at Scholastic? And he said, my mission, my vision, it's to put a book in the hand of every child in the world. And that's going to be a goal that I'll have for quite some time. I thought, wow. And I'm here now to help with that. And so when we talk about listening, it is so much bigger than just hearing. It's sensing, it's interpreting, it's responding, it's maybe taking a risk, even though you feel like you might be interrupting or maybe even rude, and offering up who you are, your services, to those that you hear. And whether they take you up on that or not, I ended up following up with him because that's my nature, that's what I do. But sometimes people follow up with you before you even get a chance to call them. Has that ever happened to you? And so I think we're all here for a reason, and I think it's a beautiful one, and we all have value. I mean, do you know who you are? Think about it. What you've done, what you've been through, who you've helped, who you've cared for, and what you know, my goodness. And so then we go to expect anything. My father had a quote. He said, you need to function in disaster and finish in style. Function in disaster and finish in style. I love that quote. And when you expect anything, you're open-minded. You need to know how your ogive is. Most people don't know what their ogive is. Ogive is a cumulative frequency curve in statistics. When I heard that, I tuned right out. I said, what? My father knew every word in the dictionary. He studied the dictionary because it was the only book he had on the battleship in World War II, and he liked to read. So he read it over and over again. He had time, a couple of years. So he just kept reading the dictionary. He knew every word in the dictionary, so he knew what ogive was. And I said, what's ogive? He said, it's a cumulative frequency curve. I said, what does that mean? He said, it goes up, it goes down. I said, why are you telling me this? He said, because you're going into the consulting field. You're going to deal with a lot of people. Those people that you're going to deal with are going to have up and down days. So in an ogive curve, you plot up, up, up. That's positive ogive. You're having a good day. You wake up early, you're feeling refreshed, you get to work early, and you have a nice first phone call. And that's positive ogive. Negative ogive, you lock your keys in your car, it's raining outside, your phone's in there too, and you have to borrow someone's phone, you have to figure out how to call a tow truck or AAA. This is a negative ogive day. Have you ever had the negative ogive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 days ago on the side of a mountain.
And what happened?
I ran into the guardrail off the side of the mountain. I
Oh
almost
my
died,
gosh.
and I had no signal, and I had to borrow people's phones, and I got a tow truck, and praise God, it all worked out.
Oh
But
my
it was,
God, do you want a prize?
Thank you. I deserve a prize. I deserve a prize. You know what? This was worth it, actually.
Now you won. Now, no adults are grabbing the stress balls. These are for the children, our future. Are you ready? Say yes.
Yes.
Are you going to be flexible and adaptable?
Yes.
Let's see the dance. Are you flexible? Now, interruptions causes forgetting, so you have to always remember where you were. Ogive.
Yes.
Positive ogive, negative ogive. If you get too much negative ogive, you can get very, very depressed. Some people are hospitalized for this depression. But if you're always up, sometimes you're hospitalized too. So watch your ogive, okay? It's a continuum. Just stay above the line. Keep above the line. And you need to detect and deflect, because if you detect the ogive going down, like, watch it, lady. Who are you? Do you know who I am? Detect it. She gave me this virus. I was in a bad mood. I was like, oh, is that lady? Oh, now I know. I detected what was wrong. Now I can deflect it. Acknowledge, release. Prevent what you can, and then acknowledge and release. I call it PAR. Acknowledge and acknowledge, release. Prevent what you can is the P in PAR. Acknowledge is the A. Release is the R. Prevent, Be nice, be a good person, care, give people the benefit of the doubt. Don't feel taken advantage of. Know that you are a person of value, and no one can take advantage of you. So, that was an Eleanor. They can't intimidate you without your permission. And so, watch your ojive, and ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how's my ojive? Turn the person next to you and say, how's your ojive? So you're either riding the wave or you're up in the cave. If you're riding the wave to joy and happiness, and you're going up the ojive, not too high, but just enough. If you go too high on the ojive, they think that there's a problem with you. So you got to be careful about that. Or you're off in the cave. But people don't go to the cave alone in negative ojive. They bring someone with them. See, negative people, misery does not like company. Misery likes miserable company. If you're too happy, they don't want you in their cave. They want to talk dish. They want to really, be negative together. You're no fun if you're positive, so that's good, because then you can stay away from the negative cave. You're either riding the wave or you're in the cave. And when you watch your ojive, then you need to know about the 4 core human emotions. 4 core human emotions, 3 of them rhyme: mad, glad, sad, and scared. They're on your card. I call them houses. So you've got the house of mad, the house of glad, the house of sad, and the house of scared. The question you want to ask yourself is, which house do you live in most, and is it time to move? And guess what? You have the capacity to move. I choose to live in the house of glad. I was actually fortunate to be raised in the house of glad with optimistic people. And yet, in 2010, I found myself living in the house of scared. I was scared because the economy was not very good, business was slowing down, and I was terrified because my spending habits did not change and adjust to that. So I was spending too much money on shoes and things. And it got to be too much. I'd wake up anxious. I'd feel butterflies in my stomach. I wasn't deep breathing. It was horrible. I just kept getting more and more scared. And then I decided, you know what? I refuse to live in the house of scared. That is not where I choose to reside. And I decided to move. And when you move to the house of glad, no baggage needed, no suitcases packed. You just go. Leave all that baggage behind. Now that doesn't mean I don't end up in the house of mad or sad or scared in my day. I do. I just don't live there. And when I detect that I'm in the wrong house, I know I don't belong there. And I move back to where I belong. And it's very, very useful. And so you can too. You have the capacity to move anytime you wish, and maybe tonight's the night that you can move out of the house of mad. Some people really live in the house of mad. You know people like that? They are just always mad. Mad, mad, mad. And it's awful. And you know people who are sad, they tell you how sad everything is. It's so sad. Oh my God, did you hear that one? Oh my God, and did you hear? Oh, about the, I don't want to know about the, I don't want to hear it because it'll make me sad. I don't want to be sad. Sad begets sad, mad begets mad. Scared begets scared, and glad begets glad. To live in the house of glad, you have to pay your rent every day. Rent. If you don't pay your rent, you get evicted. You know that, right? So here's what rent is. Rest, exercise, nutrition, and thoughts. Pay your rent every day. Rest, exercise, nutrition, and thoughts. I've already given you 2 techniques for resting. One's a color, one's a number. What's the color to help you rest? 4 breaks. That's right. What's the number to help you rest? 4, 6. Excellent. So you know how to rest. E is for exercise. Put your hands in the air and wave your hands in the air. I call that exercise. Check off the list. You tell your family, I exercised today. I was at the museum. We exercised. That's all it takes. Take the stairs, park the car far. I'm not saying you got to go to the gym every single day. I did 15 push-ups and 25 sit-ups this morning. It took me about 3 minutes. Check. I exercised. I didn't have the time or make the time to do my run. I like to run. I get joy out of running. I didn't run. Was I going to do nothing? No. All or nothing? No. I wanted to do something. Could I do something? I had 3 minutes. I was teaching a class. There were a lot of people, paid a lot of money, and flew a long distance to come see me teach that class. I was not going to be late. That wouldn't have been right. So what can I do? I salted the hay. I found a way. I did the push-ups. I did the sit-ups. And I said, check. You can too. If you beat yourselves up too much. I added an extra E to rent. It's kind of E squared. It's enjoyment. Because if you rest and exercise and eat well, nutrition and thoughts, think the right things, and you are an absolute crazy maniac, that is not good. I know people who do that. You know those people? I'm going to the gym. What's my body fat? Oh, I'm thinking all the good stuff. I'm doing all the right things. I need to rest, get my 8 hours sleep, and they are having the worst life ever. There is no enjoyment here. It's all making you feel bad that you're not doing what they're doing, but they look so miserable. You don't want to. And so I made it the E squared, so it's still rent, not rent. Pay your rent every day, live in the house of glad, so it's rest, exercise, enjoy, nutrition, and thoughts. So nutrition. My son, Wilson, we went to a new church and we had Lent, and I gave up sugar, cookie, candy, cake. Sugar's evil. Broccoli is good. Repeat after me. Sugar is evil. Broccoli is good. Okay. So I decided to pay my rent. I was going to give up sugar for Lent. I said, Wilson, I'm giving up sugar for Lent. 40 days, 40 nights, no cookie, no candy, no cake. What are you giving up that you really, really love? He said, I really, really love church. It's okay because I'm I can't say the pastor felt the same way. He wasn't happy with that one. I thought it was hysterical. And then the T in rent is your thoughts, and your thoughts drive everything. My son Jonas is an emergency room doctor, and he said that the most important part of the rent is the T, because your thoughts drive everything. They make decisions on your rest, your exercise, your nutrition, your enjoyment. So your thoughts drive everything. So we don't know what to say to ourselves when we talk to ourselves. I mean, when you have a mantra, as I was given when I was 13 in the village, and it calms your mind, it gives you the peace, and that's really beautiful. It's nice to have words that make sense. This college student told me she's all about the AFA all the way. It's okay, because I'm flexible and adaptable. She says that all day long. Do you know how happy her life is? You know how stressful college can be? You know how much college costs? You know the demands? There's no sleep. You have to balance all these different things at such a young age. And so the thoughts, I have 2 expressions to give you. One is from Emile Coué, it's on your card. Emile Coué is a French pharmacist and philosopher from the 1920s. He wrote a book, and he put on his prescription pad an expression, every day in every way I'm getting better and better. And he said, say this 30 times in the morning when you get up, 30 times in the evening when you're going to sleep, and watch what happens. And if you do this religiously, you will see a change. You will start to be better. It's just psychosomatics. It's autosuggestion, which is self-hypnosis. And he was the father of that, Emile Coué in France. And his book was a bestseller. Back in the 1920s, that wasn't an easy thing to be, a best-selling book. And he made poor people wealthy and sick people healthy by giving them that expression, so I give it to you tonight. I combine exercise and thoughts. When I go running, I always start my run with every day and every way I'm getting better and better every day. Now when I put on my speakers, it already starts kicking in. And I listen to it. Don't go so rote that you don't hear what it's saying, because it can get robotic. Don't let that happen. And I was watching a movie, it was called Zoolander. It was funny. It was, Owen Wilson, and who else is in there? Ben Stiller, and they were male models. They were wearing their leather jeans, being cool dudes. And I said, oh, they're hot potatoes. They're a hot potato. So I said, I like that hot potato. So I said to myself, I am a hot potato. I am a hot potato. And then I thought I could be a really cool hot potato if I wore sunglasses. So I got some sunglasses, and I put them on, and I said to myself, I am a hot potato. I am a hot potato. And it's really fun. My husband doesn't think it is, but I do. I bite my tongue. And so I'm a hot potato. And then my friend said, I think you're a sweet potato. I said, oh, thanks. Not a rotten potato. I said to my son, what do you do with a rotten potato? He said, you butter them up. Especially if they're steaming. I love that. And so now you know, every day and every way you're getting better and better. So number 8 on our card says, what's the one thing you can do to further your success for tomorrow? You can't boil the ocean. It's an Italian expression. Ricorda means remember. You cannot boil the ocean. Why try? But you can take a pot, put water in that, and boil that. So I'm giving you lots of golden nuggets this evening. You know, you've got salt the hay, find the way, always flexible and adaptable, AFA all the way. You can pay your rent. You can live in the house of glad. You can watch your Ojai. You can be above par, because par stands for prevent what you can, acknowledge and release. Or maybe you like detect and deflect better. They're the same thing, really. And so, what house are you going to live in when you leave here? If you've lived in other houses in your past, that's okay. Because you're flexible and adaptable, you have the capacity to move. And then you will be in the other houses. Circumstances will warrant that, and throughout the day you'll find that. All I say is just go back home. Go back to the house of God as much as you can. And you have to be careful when you're in the house of God, because my father raised us there, but he told us it came with a warning. I said, what's the warning? He said, you can't be happy all the time. People can't take it. They just want to slap you. I said, really? Have you experienced this? You're a positive person, and then people don't like you because you're so positive. Could you stop? I had a friend, she said, you know what, if you're going to stay this positive, I don't think I can hang with you anymore. And I thought, what? And then my other friend said, I don't think that's such a bad thing. And I'm okay with that, because I don't want to change being a positive person. Why would you change that? It's such a great thing. And so I decided I was going to live in the house of glad. Now Dad said, people are going to think that you are drunk. They are going to think you're on drugs. They're going to think you're inappropriate because you're too happy. You have to be very careful to enjoy the house of glad, but know that gladness comes in degrees. You don't want to be obnoxious about your gladness. You don't want to throw it in people's face, especially if they're not to the level of joy you are. Being that my name is Joy, I looked up a lot of definitions of the word, and my favorite definition has everything to do with the Meditation Museum. And it is just 2 words. Joy means calm delight. Beautiful. Live in the house of glad, enjoy the calm delight, and know that you are truly a beautiful person. And then take action, make a call, listen for a call, listen for opportunity. And finally, my son Wilson, when he was 5, by the way, he gets $5 every time I quote him because I'm teaching about royalties. He's making a lot of money. I've already quoted him 3 times tonight. He's getting the Lent quote, and he's getting the butter you up quote, and he's getting all these quotes. So I said, Wilson, get to bed. Oh, Mom, it's so much fun. I'm jumping up and down the stairs. You know, 5-year-olds. You know, 5-year-olds that don't listen. And so then I said, you got to get to bed. And he's like, I will. And I'm like, that's it, you're grounded. And he was so upset with me. He couldn't bring Scooby-Doo to show and tell. He had to bring a little frog, and boy, was he mad. The next day, he goes to show and tell. He comes home. I said, how did it go? Show and tell. He said, it went fine, and I don't want to talk about it. Storms upstairs to his room. I said, Wilson, if you had just listened to me yesterday. He clenched his fist with rage, and he screamed, Mom, it will never be yesterday, so why do you keep talking about it? Aren't that okay? I wrote it down. That is genius. What if I didn't hear that one? There are a lot of people, I'd say thousands of people, because I called a client, and I benefit from that quote. I called a client and I said, my son said some words, he's only 5, maybe I'm delusional, because a lot of people tell me stories about their 5-year-olds that I don't really think are that cute or funny. So I am not going to speak to adults and quote my 5-year-old and be a fool. I said, so what do you think of this? He said, it'll never be yesterday, so why do you keep talking about it? She said, oh, I would tell everyone that one. I said, how come? She said, it would have saved me 10 years of therapy. It will never be yesterday. What are you going to do to further your success for tomorrow? Pick one thing from this beautiful time we've had together on listening, What's your one thing? Are you going to live in the house of glad? Are you going to focus on one thing? Are you going to 4 for 6 or 7? Are you going to bite your tongue? What are you going to do? Try to change a yes to a no on your listening quiz. What's your one thing? I need you to shout out your one thing on 3. Are you ready? Say yes. Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yes! If you go after that, success will be yours. Thank you. If you have some buttons and some wristbands, although don't storm the stage, does anybody want a house button? House of God? Yes. Really? I've got wristbands. Just grab it. That way. Don't take more than one. Baldridge.com. It's on the card. Okay, it's Washington. You'll be back. Really?
So thank you so much, Joy. Can we please give her a big hand? We'll definitely get her back at some point, but let her get to that flight. Please get to the flight. Kanu, lead the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you get ready?
Thank you. Can I get a pair of sneakers?
Oh, wait. Sister has to be a hoppin'. Adjourn my meeting and get
Thank you.
Keep breathing, come on. Remember the SSA.
All right, thank you so much. And I'm sure that we took a lot from today's discussion. So now that we're at the Meditation Museum and we have captured so much, would love for us to go into our mode of silence and get into our meditation space. We received a lot today, right? Anything was a highlight to you?
Yeah.
Could you share?
House of Glad.
What's House of?
House of Glad.
House of Glad. Good. Anything else stood out for you?
Just keep remember, don't give sorrow, don't take sorrow.
Don't give sorrow, don't take sorrow. Anything else?
Being like this and adaptable.
Be flexible and adaptable. Somebody turn off the mic, please. Deflect and detect. There we go, there we go. Anything else?
It will never be yes.
It'll never be yesterday. Exactly. That was a good one. It'll never be yesterday. It'll never be yesterday. It'll never be yesterday.
You're very good at hacking up the wise.
It'll never be yesterday. All right, so let us go into a little meditation together and hold the space for a moment. Could we turn the lights down just a little bit? Okay, not too much, thanks. Alright, all your papers on the floor, books, everything is on? Good. So let's take a few moments and listen. So let us now practice to listen to silence, the silence of the inner being, the silence of the mind. Tonight we learned a lot about how to be better listeners, and to listen to your thoughts, and just allow your energies to settle into the space, just settle. And gradually, as you let go of things that you're very familiar with, allow your awareness to become present in the room. Become present in the moment. And imagine that tonight's the night that you declare, I'll be a better person. I'm actually going to find my way through this thing called life. No more entertaining thoughts of worry about things that will never happen. Things that are not important. I'm the master of my mind, the captain of my ship. I want to listen to what I'm thinking and feeling. To catch the things that are important and meaningful. To be in the zone of silence and love and happiness. To accept and know that I am that, no matter what I face. In the course of the day, I love and silence, and there's happiness in me. Allow yourself to go into the silent space of peace. And allow the peace to spread around you and in the room. Breathe in deeply. Inhale and exhale. Breathe in deeply. Inhale and exhale. Thank you. I'd like to ask Megan to come up and do a closing